Hi y'all! I bet y'all wish I talked like this. I don't. This is my vlog off for the Twitter thing we're doing with Jeremy, Jeffrey West, and Carla. So I'm reading from Shiver. This is me chapter 16 and it's in Sam's perspective, so I'm reading a boy's perspective. Sam? I jerked hearing my name. Grace called again in her room, barely above a whisper, wondering where I was. She didn't sound afraid. I pushed open her door and looked around her room. In the strong late morning light, I could see now that it was a grown-up's room. No leftover pink whimsy or stuffed animals for Grace if she'd ever had them. Framed photographs of trees on walls, all matching black frames with no frills, matching black furniture, all square and useful looking. Her towel and washcloth tidily folded on top of the dresser next to another clock, all black and white, all smooth lines. And a stack of library books, mostly nonfiction and mysteries, judging by the titles. Probably alphabetized or organized according to length. I was suddenly struck by how dissimilar we were. It occurred to me that if Grace and I were objects, she would be an elaborate digital clock, syncing up with the world clock in London, with technical perfection, and I'd be a snow globe, shaken memories in a glass ball. I struggled to find something to say that wouldn't sound like a greeting of an interspecies stalker. Good morning, I managed. Grace sat up, her hair frizzy on one side and flat against her head on the other, her eyes dark with open delight. You're still here. Oh, you have clothes. Instead of scrubs. I went to get them while you were sleeping. What time is it? Oh, I'm really late for school, aren't I? It's 11. Grace groaned and then shrugged. You know what? I haven't missed a class since I started high school. I got an award for it last year and a free pizza or something. She climbed out of the bed in the daylight, and I could see just how clingy and unbearably sexy her camisole top was. I turned away. You don't have to be so chaste, you know. It's not like I'm naked. Pausing in front of her closet, she looked back at me, her expression canny. If you haven't seen me naked, have you? No, my answer came out distinctly rushed. She grinned at my lie and pulled some jeans from the closet floor. Well, unless you want to see me now, you'd better turn around. I lay in the bed, face buried in the cool pillows that smelled of her. I listened to the rustling sounds as she pulled on her clothing, my heart pounding a million miles an hour. I sighed, guilty, unable to contain a lie. I didn't mean to. The mattress groaned as she crashed into it, her face close to mine. Are you always this apologetic? My voice was muffled by her pillow. I'm trying to make you think I'm a decent person. Telling you I saw you naked while I was another species does not help my case. She laughed. I'll grant you leniency, since I should have pulled the blinds. There was a long silence filled with 1,000 unspoken messages. I could smell her nervousness, faintly wafting from her skin, and I could hear the fast heartbeat of her heart carried through her mattress to my ear. It had been so easy for my lips to span the inches between our mouths. I thought I could hear the hope in her heartbeat, kiss me, kiss me, kiss me. Normally I was good at sensing others' feelings, but with Grace, everything I thought I knew was clouded by what I wanted. She giggled quietly. It was a terribly cute noise, and also completely at odds with how I normally thought of her. I'm starving, she said finally. Let's go find breakfast, or brunch, I guess. I rolled out of bed and she rolled after me. I was acutely aware of her hands on my back, pushing me through the bedroom door. Together we padded softly into the kitchen. Sunlight, too bright, blared in the glass door to the deck, reflecting off the white counter and tile in the kitchen, covering us both in white light. Because of my previous exploration, I knew where things were, so I started to take out supplies. As I moved to the kitchen, Grace shadowed me, her fingers finding my elbow, her palm brushing along my back, finding excuses to touch me. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see her staring unabashedly at me when she thought I wouldn't notice. It was as though I had never changed, as though I still gazed at her from the woods, and she still sat on her tire swing and watched me with admiring eyes. And these are lyrics, and I will not sing them. Peeling off my skin, leaving just my eyes behind, you see inside my head, still know that you are mine. What are you thinking? I asked, cracking an egg into the skillet and pouring her a glass of orange juice with human fingers that suddenly seemed so precious. Grace laughed. That you're making me breakfast. It was too simple an answer. I wasn't sure I could believe it. Not when I had 1,000 thoughts competing for space in my head at the same moment. What else are you thinking? That it's very sweet of you, that I hope you know how to cook eggs. But her eyes lifted from the skillet to my mouth just for a second, and I knew she wasn't only thinking about eggs. She rolled away and pulled the blinds, instantly changing the mood in the kitchen. And that it's too bright in here. Light filtered through the blinds, casting horizontal stripes across her wide brown eyes and the straight line of her lips. I turned back to the scrambled eggs and tipped them into a plate just as the toast popped out of the toaster. I reached for it at the same time as Grace, and it was one of those perfect movie moments where the hands touch and you know the characters are going to kiss. Only this time, it was my arm somehow accidentally circling her, pinning her against the counter as I reached for the toast, and bracing against the edge of the fridge as I leaned forward. Lost in embarrassment over my bumbling, I didn't even realize it was the perfect moment until I saw Grace's eyes close, face lifted toward mine. I kissed her. Just the barest brush of my lips against hers. Nothing animal. Even in that moment, I destructed the kiss, her possible reactions to, her possible interpretations of, the way it made a shudder tighten my skin, the seconds between I touched lips and when she opened her eyes. Grace smiled at me. Her words were taunting, but her voice was gentle. Is that all you've got? I touched my lips to hers again, and this time it was a very different sort of kiss. It was 6 years' worth of kissing, her lips coming to life under mine, tasting of orange and of desire. Her fingers ran through my sideburns and into my hair before linking her on my neck, alive and cool and on my warm skin. I was wild and tame and pulled into shreds and crushed into being all at once. For once in my human life, my mind didn't wander to compose a song lyric or store the moment for later reflection. For once in my life, I was here, and nowhere else. And then I opened my eyes, and it was just Grace and me. Nothing anywhere but Grace and me. She pressing her lips together as though she were keeping my kiss inside her, and me holding this moment that was as fragile as a bird in my hands. I love Shiver. Alright, and that's it. Yay!